I'm Stuart Sherman from Biasproof. And I guess at Biasproof, one of the things that we think is really important is that the first step in overcoming unconscious biases is actually understanding that you have them. And that's one of the challenges with unconscious in general is you're not conscious of them. So at Biasproof, really fundamentally, we believe that everybody wants to be a better person and a good person. And because of that, we tried to develop some tools that will help people understand where their weaknesses are and then be able to address them. But what I want to talk about initially is the fact that unconscious bias training has become a bit of a challenge. And the challenge really lies in the fact that it's not necessarily loved. Some people think it's fantastic. There are countries like Denmark that has actually mandated it. And then there's in the UK, where the government has actually said that they aren't sure what they're going to do with it. And I think that one of the problems that we have as a society is that we look at unconscious bias training like it's learning a skill. And it is learning a skill to some degree, but it's not completely like typical training. So, if you're providing typical training to your employees, you literally put them in a class situation and generally you train them for one class of something. It's all about a lecture, some drills, and at the end you expect them to have a skill. But you get immediate results. You test your people at the end of the course and they pass or they fail and you say, I'm a great teacher or I'm a bad teacher. And that measurable change is really important. And the problem that we've had with IAT style training is that the unconscious change is something that takes commitment. It's about awareness over time. The results are slow. I cannot teach you how to overcome unconscious biases that have been programmed into you societally, culturally, since potentially you were a child. And therefore, it's very hard to track change when you do it in a classroom situation. And that really doesn't fit corporate models because corporate models really want to impose a process and get a result. And that's a massive challenge in today's society because a lot of the societal changes we need aren't going to happen overnight. So when you think about it, let's talk about what training looks like in theory. In theory, it kind of looks like this photograph of diverse people. They're smiling, they're sharing, they're equal, they're all excited to learn, they're open-minded, they don't feel threatened, nobody has an agenda, and nobody has any worries. Now, if you thought about it in reality, what happens is that a lot of organizations have homogenous people. And if you can see the slide, this is Donald Trump signing a landmark piece of legislation that was prison reform in the United States, which was massive. And it impacted the Black community in the United States, which is incarcerated at a higher level as a percentage of the population than any other minority anywhere else in the world, potentially. And you see this picture of some smiling and sharing, but if you notice, he's smiling and sharing and shaking the hand of this Black woman who is the only woman in the photograph. The other people, for the most part, are kind of the pale, male, and stale variety. None of these people have any lived experience except maybe there's two guys in the back that are pushed back there and they're not front and center. They're not seen to be part of this process. They're really perhaps more like window dressing because these lawmakers in the front are trying to take credit for it. And so when you think about this in the context of organizational change, what we find is that a lot of organizations, just because of the inertia of the inequities that exist, are run by men. And so you end up in these diversity training courses with a whole bunch of men who may have even made a conscious decision to make positive change. But then they feel a little bit threatened because they're like, oh, well, we stood up to make change and now all of a sudden we're being criticized for it. So we get into this, the fact that these people feel that it's needed. they can often end up in a classroom and feel threatened. And they can feel like there's agendas that are at play that go beyond culture. So they have a lot of worries. They're also corporately, there's a lot of fast results wanted with low investment. And the concept of original sin, oh, because I'm white and male, I don't understand diversity. And that's not fair. And so it puts my back up and it prevents me from being willing to learn. So what we did is we said, how could we build a tool that corporations could use to actually measure and manage? It's the Peter Druckerism of if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And that's the truth in modern organizational thinking. And so we said, how do you kind of create D&I to have KPIs, key performance indicators, when it comes to diversity and inclusion and unconscious bias training? You need to show results. You need to be able to dashboard some changes and show it over time, even though the time frame is longer than just a single course. You need to be able to report success on the impact of it, because if you can't, then it's going to get canceled and they're going to say, spend the money on something that's more relevant. And that's problematic in itself. And you've got to, if you want to move it, you've got to prove it. And this is a massive thing for us. So we think that one of the challenges that exists with current unconscious bias training is that there's training first without actually measuring people. So you end up with these lines. Donald Trump is famous for one, I'm the least racist person in the room. One could actually believe that he actually believes that himself. And if he wasn't able to test himself, then he wouldn't be able to understand. So we like the concept that there's a Zen Buddhist concept that if you realize you have a problem, a teacher will appear. So we believe that if you test first and train afterwards, you're training a bunch of people who actually recognize they have a problem and don't want to be such a bad person. So we think that the first step in positive change is awareness that you have a problem. So we believe that you want to measure, then train, then reward, and then you'll have positive change. So our product is designed to be mobile. And the idea here is that you're not using the corporation's computer, but you're using your phone. And you can do it in your car. You can do it on a break. You can do it while you're out on a walk. You can do it in the bathroom. You have full privacy on where you choose to test yourself. And you can feel comfortable about it. We also use a privacy by design model where we don't actually track any individual's results that are track backable. All we can do is look at company aggregates. And our goal is to get the world thinking about this. So we have two different products. For consumers, it's completely free. Our goal is to improve the world and to tackle this challenge of unconscious bias. So we don't want to make money off of an average person doing it. Our goal is to get corporations to make it very, very affordable so that it can actually work in with other styles of training. So it's not just our product and that's it. You can do classroom, you can do other things as well. We don't eat up your budget. We want you to be able to track change over time. So it's designed so that it's repeatable. And we think that this is the right way around. So ultimately, at the end of this, we give you a badge. If you're a person, we'll give you a badge. You can put it up on your LinkedIn. You can show that you're part of the change. Bias-proof isn't about making you bias-proof. That's a destination, not the goal. But it's actually proof of your own biases and that you've proved that there is an issue and that you want to address it. We think that unconscious bias cannot be solved in a day, but it's about knowing your thoughts, realizing the issue, and then moving things along. Equity isn't about everybody being equal. It's about everybody being treated fairly. And that's what we think the goal is. So at the end of the day, we think it's time for change. We think we've built tools that will support change. And I'd really welcome you to come and try it out. You've received a link that you can use and we'll provide afterwards aggregate data across everybody at the conference who completes it. But if you want, you can just completely anonymously go to our site and try it, and you can pass it around and have family members try it. All you need is a mobile phone. Thank you.